Hello, everyone. It's the Palazzo Podcast. I'm Michael Govier here with Benjamin Chase, who you cannot see, but you will hear, believe it or not. He's down here. Say hi, Ben.
Hello.
I don't know if you heard that or not. This is a big moment. Here we are. Palazzo Podcast. We got our first real professional athlete as a guest. The man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Justyn-Henry Malloy. What's up, dude? How you doing? Thanks for having us here.
Thank you guys for having me. This is an awesome opportunity. Thank you for coming. This is a pretty nice place that we have that the Braves kind of hooked us up with. So kind of showing it off to you guys. But thank you so much for being here and coming and having me.
Yeah, we're here in your apartment. And I was surprised. I was like, this is a nice place. This is real nice. And Ben, this is something I wasn't exactly expecting because you never know what kind of digs that the minor league players coming up in the game. I mean, real quick, let's lay it out. Justyn is a part of the Braves organization, and you got to AAA for a minute this year. So why don't you fill people in on your journey this year?
It was pretty awesome. Left spring training, going to High A Rome. Spent the season there up until early July. Then I got the news that I was going to make a position change from third base to left field, and I was also going to make a jump to AA. Spent the rest of the season in Mississippi, and then got the news the last week. I was actually supposed to go home for a week before heading out to Arizona, but I got the news that instead of me going home, I'm going to play the next 9 games in AAA and finish out the season. So then I had to go to Memphis, played there as the Cardinals organization, and then head back to Gwinnett, finished off the season there. Next day I was in the Fall League, and I've been playing ever since. So it's been an ongoing journey, and it's still not even over. So I'm excited. It was a good year, but it's still, again, it's not even over. So
Ben, you want to chime in?
And not just to, be humble about things, but, newly minted Arizona Fall League All-Star.
Yeah, that's right.
So, not just, it's been a big journey, but, one of the things that's been fun to follow this year is, every step of the way this year I believe I'm not incorrect in saying this, but you've put a 400 on-base percentage at every level this year. Is that something you're really intentionally doing, is being patient at the plate and really working to work counts and things like that as you're going along?
Definitely not intentional. It's something that I am aware about, like in being self-aware. Like I know that, I have a good command of the zone, and in doing that, it puts me in good counts to be able to do damage and to be able to do my job. But it's not something that I'm really thinking about, okay, I'm going to work a 3-2 count and I'm going to get walked this at bat. Obviously, you get walked, and you take your walk. But that's not something that I'm really thinking about. I'm really just trying to make, winning baseball decisions and winning the small margins every single pitch. And I think over the course of time, it ends up being that, oh, man, he gets on base at a decent rate. So, just trying to make just baseball winning decisions, and I think that just ends up being a really good thing over time.
What do you think of that, Ben?
Yeah. Now, I will say you've had a very interesting. You were kind of a well-known, kind of thought of kid prospect, I guess, if you want to put it that way. You were on 15U teams. I would say. When you and I got hooked up this summer through the Adopt a Minor Leaguer program, and we had the program director on earlier this summer, and we were talking about that program, and so hopefully Plaza Prospect, you have been kind of out there nationally for quite a while, and when you and I got hooked up initially, I got cards of you for my kids so they knew who we were supporting all summer. And some of these cards, dude, were of you when you were 15 on the 15U team. And I'm just thinking, I was a college athlete. I played football in college, and I'm thinking, I never saw a dime of any jersey sold that had my number when I was playing in college. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, you ended up going to 2 pretty big time schools playing college baseball. Pretty sure you never saw a dime at that time. You know, this stuff has kind of come since. But you certainly probably never saw a dime of any of the baseball cards when you were 15 that were being made of you. I mean, how interesting is that now that, you know, autographs that you signed when you were maybe 14, 15 years old are being bought and sold on eBay of you?
It's still kind of weird, but I mean it's like weird. It's also an honor in the same way. Like, you know, someone wants your baseball card at the end of the day, which is pretty sick. But I don't really think about like, oh man, why didn't I get paid? You know, I feel like that's more of leaning on the negative side of things. Like when I was 15 and I heard that I was going to get a baseball card, like if any 15-year-old heard that they were going to get a baseball card, they'd be through the roof. Like they'd be ecstatic. And that's exactly how I was, and that's still how I am now. Like I didn't even do anything yet, and I have a baseball card. Like I'm not in the big leagues. I'm not like the guys that I see on TV, you know, like obviously I aspire to be like those guys, of course. But like I was a 15-year-old kid. I'm a 22-year-old kid now, and you know, if I see a baseball card of me, I'm like, it's pretty sick. And my mom is kind of like, she thinks the same exact way, and she's on eBay trying to find a new card, and if she sees one, she buys it, right? So, but again, like I try and be like super grateful about like things like that, just because it's like it's a baseball card. I mean, my godfather, he is really into baseball, into memorabilia and all that stuff. So like when he sees like baseball cards or old jerseys or like anything old or anything that like kind of goes back to his own childhood, like baseball cards, he was ecstatic for me to have my own. So I just really try to look at the good side of having a card and being a high school guy.
A high school guy. Does this guy sound incredible or what? I mean, you sound so damn reasonable and humble for a professional athlete. You really do. You've got a sense of yourself and where you came from. We were talking before we started recording this, so I got a sense of that from you. And the Adopt a Minor Leaguer program is huge. This is the connection. The reason we're really here is only because of the Adopt a Minor Leaguer program, which if you're interested in, go to adoptaminorleaguer.com. People do need help. This is the connection. Ben and Justyn got connected through this. So can you just explain your end of the Adopt a Minor Leaguer program and how important you really feel it is, and some of the misnomers and myths about what we were talking about earlier that people have about every professional baseball player must be rolling in the dough?
Yeah, so to answer the first part of that, it was just kind of funny, like going to the locker room, and my boy, he lives right across the hall, he goes, yo, you ever heard of Adopt a Minor Leaguer? And I'm like, nah, dude, like, what is that? Like, never heard of it. And he was like, sign up for this and just see what happens. So I signed up, and I was like, dude, like, this has to be fake. Like, it doesn't even seem true. Like, someone's, like, legitimately going to be willing to just help me on a day-to-day. And I'm like,
what?
Yeah, like, it seemed legitimately too good to be true. Like, the only people who were helping me on a day-to-day were my parents, which, like, it made sense. And then, like, obviously, like, I'm doing things on my own, which, you know, I don't really need my parents, but, like, they're always willing to help because they're great people. And, like, I am who I am because of my parents. But to have someone like you who, and, like, I want to thank you so much. And it's like to just be, because at that point, like, you didn't know who I was, like, as a human at all. You just knew me as a professional baseball player that was in the Atlanta Brave organization. And for you to, like, go out of your way to help someone that you have no idea how this person is as a dude, it shows even more about you, where it's like, wow, like, someone's really willing to help me and has no idea who I even am. And I think that just kind of goes, like, it shows humanity. And I think it's also an awesome way for someone to want to connect with a minor league baseball player. For someone who could be a potential big leaguer, like you'll always be a part of my journey, like, whether if, you know, you make it or not. Yeah. But, like, say, like, you do make it, that's pretty sick, right? You're always able to say, like, oh, I helped that guy, or I helped that guy, if you're an Adopt a Minor League parent. So, and, like, you know, guys need help. Like, you know, it's not easy. the food could be good in some places. Like, fortunately enough, like, we were taken care of, like, in our affiliates. Like, they actually really took care of us pretty well, like, in terms of food and catering and all that certain things. But sometimes, like, you know, like, I've heard from other organizations that, like, it's not as good. It's not all the same. So I was fortunate and blessed enough to have that. But, like, in terms of groceries, like, I know you helped me with groceries. And, like, I think that that's such a big thing from a standpoint of just basic nutrition for an athlete. Groceries. And, like, for me to, like, have some help on that is, like, wow, like, this ends up being something that helps me on the field. And then, I don't know, I can go on and on about the Adopt a Minor League program. It's amazing. It's awesome. And guys still need help. But I think
so. He would send you like a gift card for
yeah. So like 70, it would be like a $75 gift card for groceries, and then, like, out of the goodness of your heart, like, give me 3 $10 Chick-fil-A gift cards, because he knows that I love Chick-fil-A. So, like,
waffle fries are legit.
oh my God, waffle fries with some Chick-fil-A sauce every time, every day of the week, except for Sundays.
Of course.
Literally, except for Sundays. But, like, I mean, like, it was just, like, such, like, a blessing, like, for you to be able to, like, help me. And, like, I heard other guys' stories about how their parents help, or Adopt a Minor League parents help them, and how it's extremely helpful and useful. And, you know, one guy was like, yeah, like, my Adopt a Minor League parent, I mean, again, I think this one's a little bit on the excessive side, but, like, would, like, call him after every game. I don't know. I thank you for not doing that. I don't think you really need to do that. But, like, I think they want to, like, interact, and I think that that's awesome for someone to want to interact with someone who hasn't really necessarily made it yet, but is aspiring to do it.
Yeah. You're the man, Ben. You made it happen.
Thank you.
Well, I can tell you, my kids loved when we pulled up a few different times, and you know, this is earlier in the season. We could watch Rome play, and I would pull it up and share the feed from my laptop onto our TV and say, hey guys, now that guy there on third base, that's the guy that we're helping out. And they'd be like, oh, so that's him? And so then they'd watch and they'd just wait, and if you made a play, they're all, like, you know, jumping up and down and cheering on, you know, if you made a play at third base or something. You know, it was just funny to watch their reaction. And then when you'd come up to the plate, they're all cheering every time you made a hit. So, you know, they'd get into it because they found out that, hey, this is the guy that we're helping out. And so, you know, then it'd be an extra little, okay, so then that's the guy that we're going to extra cheer for, on top of, you know, hey, just because he's got a, you know, a Braves hat on, because, for, you know, I try to tell my kids, we live in the middle of nowhere, South Dakota. You can love whatever team you want to love. I really don't, you know. Daddy happens to be a Braves fan.
He sure does.
But they seem to think that that they need to cheer for the Braves because Daddy does too. So, you know, that's, you know, they come home with Twins gear. They come home with all sorts of different gear too. But they were definitely into cheering on your at bats, just because I told them that, you know, we had a connection, and, you know, that we were, you know, that, hey, this is someone who we're supporting, and we're trying to, you know, we're making sure he's got a good year going, and that was, you know, it was really. I just got a note, and we got to change where we're sending our stuff. She goes, well, what do you mean? I said, Justyn-Henry got promoted up to AA. She goes, well, that's awesome for him. You know, my wife really isn't a huge baseball nut, but she was excited that you got promoted. So, I mean, it's just this, you know, thing that the family got invested into, which is, you know, I'm a huge baseball nut, but then the whole family got into it, which is really kind of cool to see that take over too. But, you know, that's, to me, the cool aspect of it is, you know, you get some reward of it. I tried to get the kids into, you know, I think maybe one of the first ones we sent you had some homemade cookies in it. I tried to get them to do that again another time. It was a little more difficult throughout the summer to encourage the kids to make some homemade cookies that they didn't want to eat. So, you know, that was a little more challenging. But
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. So you had a big year in terms of a lot of movements, and Ben talks about this all the time. And we've talked a lot about adopt a minor leaguer and how important it is, and I think we've made that pretty clear. It's very, very, very important. I think it's awesome. But is the jump to Double A the toughest? Is that universal to you? Do people tell you that, or do you think there's another jump? I mean, you haven't made it to the bigs yet, so maybe that's the ultimate jump. But so far, Ben talks about a lot that most players say the Double A is where the biggest gap is, where people might struggle the most initially, but eventually they'll figure it out. I'm curious what you think about that.
Yeah, definitely. Like, from the guys that like I talked to, like just picking their brain before like playing my first game, and like a lot of guys said like, oh, like this is definitely the biggest jump from high A to Double A. Now again, like you said, like I've never seen a pitch in the big leagues, right? I'm really not even worried about that either, like, because that's, you know, down the line, and that's not being where your feet are if you're thinking about that. But the real difference that I saw from my own my eyes was balls out of hand, I guess, just being super specific. Like, balls in Double A were tunneled extremely well. Like, you have to be able to really say yes, 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 no, right? Like, because, I mean, these balls are legitimately – I mean, these are guys that now know how to put balls where they want to. Like, you can in high A, and you'll find those guys occasionally, right? But in Double A, like, these are guys that are like, if I'm going to miss, I'm going to miss in. If I'm going to miss away, I'm going to miss away. And I'm going to make these perfect pitches up, down, in, and out. And they can do that. And then they also have these sliders that are just like, they're fastballs for 55 feet, and then they're not. Yeah. So, like, in high A, it was more like, you know, occasionally, like, a pitcher would miss, like, you know, at your eyes. And then, or like a curveball would be, you know, a 57-foot breaker that you see out of hand. So that's what I mean when I say balls out of hand. That was like my biggest jump. I remember this year I was playing in Tennessee against the Tennessee Smokies, the Cubs organization. And I literally was like, yo, like all week I don't even think I had like a bad week. Seriously, like I think I hit fine, right? From what I remember, it wasn't like a week that I'm like, yo, I'm glad I'll never go back to Tennessee for the rest of the year. But I remember I was like, yo, I haven't seen a fastball in the heart of the plate for 6 straight days. And like, I can only imagine. And then like I talked to like Grissom, like I FaceTime Grissom, and like I'll ask him questions and pick his brain. And I'll be like, yo, bro, like, what you got for me? Like, I want to know what's going on up there. And he's looking at me and he's like, bro, I haven't seen a ball in the middle, a ball, not a fastball, a ball in the middle of the plate for 3 weeks. And I'm like, okay, like that's what it's like up there. So, I mean, I can only imagine if I'm thinking that like there was definitely a significant jump from high A to Double A, the jump to the big leagues has to be obviously the biggest one, right? Yeah. So, I mean, kudos to the guys in the big leagues that do it every single day.
Grissom made a quick adjustment.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. But see, and like, there's a reason, and I say it all the time, like he was built for that. Like, it wasn't a mistake that, like, he goes in and he hits a homer his first game. Like, it really wasn't at all. Like, when I look at Grissom, I'm like, yo, this guy's going to be built for that moment. Like, he's built for 40,000 people there and him being just absolutely unfazed.
Is it a mental thing?
I think it's a mental thing. It's like he plays like a kid. Like, I like to say that I play like a kid because I think that's the best way to play. Like,
a lot of energy.
Yeah, there's energy, there's innocence. You're not worried about other things that like you really don't need to be worried about. Yeah. But like that was Grissom. Like he wouldn't care about 40,000 people watching him every night. Pressure, people probably talking about it in the media. Who cares? It was Grissom. Like he was gonna go there and he was gonna smoke 4 balls a night. Like that's who he was. And like I said before, he was so built for that moment. And he's 21 years old, and like he's built for the big leagues. And that's not a mistake, like at all. He's a very mature hitter. He knows how to execute a plan. He knows what he's doing in the box. He controls at bats. Like I can go on and on and on because I had the best seat in the house. Seriously, like for 4 months, hitting right behind him.
Oh, hitting, yeah.
He would hit 2, I'd hit 3 most of the time, right? So like, and then his competitive nature, him being able to just compete, and grind 5 at-bats, professional at-bats every night, there's a reason why he's in the big leagues.
And you played behind him defensively, too, is what I meant.
Oh, yeah. Literally everything. I mean, and then I played left, and then when I was playing third, it was like he was right here, and it's like always had my back. I always had his back.
Yeah.
And then it's like, again, it's my dog. I could talk on and on about Grizz, but, like, he was built for the big leagues.
Real quickly, Ben, what about Harris? Did you have any interactions with Michael Harris?
In spring training, we did. Like, we'd hang out every so often. Obviously, like, Grizz and, like, other guys who were in the organization had better relationships with Mike just because they played with each other,
Sure.
you know, the GCL and stuff like that. But, you know, from what I've heard about Mike and my experience with Mike, first and foremost, great human being. Again, like, Grizz, first and foremost, great human being before a baseball player. And, like, Mike was the same way. It's like, these are guys that, like, you want to root for, even though you don't know them, you want to root for them even harder because, like, they're good dudes first. And Mike's that guy. Like, again, I'm not even gonna say like Mike's my boy or anything because like we haven't hung out like that yet. But like, you know, from what I've heard in my experience with Mike, great dude, great human. And then like the baseball speaks for itself. Like I'm watching Mike on TV and I'm like, I ain't surprised, right? So.
I was impressed.
Oh yeah, I was impressed. But again, another guy, impressed but not surprised at all.
Right.
Like he's another one. Like. There's a reason why he's in the show. Like he knows how to execute what he wants to execute. He has a plan every time he goes up to the plate. It's hard to beat guys like that, and then they're also easy to root for. So those are my 2 takes on those really good guys.
Ben, what are you at? What are you at, Ben? Give us something.
So you mentioned your transition to left. How comfortable are you at this point with the ball coming off the bat in left field? And you know, there's already some talk about, did the Braves already have a couple of guys that they could potentially use in left field in you and Grissom if they decide not to fill that position in the off season, which would mean he's got to take some reps out in left field. And boy, wouldn't that be fun to have you two competing for a spot come spring training.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That would be kind of a fun. I gotta say, I would enjoy that competition. But I mean, more than anything, how's it feeling to you out in left field right now?
No, it
that ball off the bat, and you know, I mean, it's the whole different thing. Trying to catch the quick reaction at third versus being able to at least time up some things and have a few steps to react when you're out in left. But then you also have the tail. You got everything else you got to deal with in left, and you know, not run over your center fielder, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, I would definitely say my transition to left. I mean, at first it was another world. Like it was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm so far away. Like I just felt like in a completely different world. And obviously, like, you know, I had my what's the correct term? I had my growing pains, right? My routes weren't good. They really just weren't. They were bad, actually. Like, they were just too steep. I didn't understand, like, when a ball's crushed in the outfield, like, you're not going to the ball. Like, you got to beat it to a spot, right? So it's like it was just different. And before I moved up to AA, I think I had 3 games in high A where, like, I was able to, like, go out there and just get my feet wet, right? And, you know, I made my mistakes, and, like, I'm going to make mistakes, and every baseball player is going to keep making their mistakes.
That's why the mental side's so important, because it's just part of the game.
Yeah, like, it's just part of it. And, like, he was our coach in low A, and I think that was, like, part of it. That's literally all he would say. Like, you had a bad day, you make an error. Like, those are his 3 words, part of it.
Yeah.
And, like, you just walk away, and, like, you start thinking about it. And it's like, yeah, like, errors and mistakes are part of it.
Yeah.
But, like, making that transition, and it's still a learning curve. But, like, as of right now, like, I'm feeling, like, way more comfortable than I did that first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Like, right now I'm starting to feel like a left fielder, which is good. Like, I'm happy with myself because I do. Like, I take pride in my defense, and, like, I want to be a good outfielder. I want to be a serviceable, good outfielder. And, just taking my reps and, knowing that I'm going to make mistakes every so often. Luckily out here, like I've been all right. I actually had a really bad sun game. I'll say that.
Oh, yeah?
Oh my God, it was a nightmare. It was just like I had 3 balls that went straight into the sun, and I mean, there's not a person on the earth that's defeated the sun yet. So I don't feel that bad. But like again, like just taking BP seriously, like that was one thing that was just like huge for me. Like go out there, get the pitchers the heck out of the way, tell everyone like, yo, like I'm not just shagging, like communicating that with everyone else. And it's like, yo, get out the way. I need to take these reads like aggressively so I can actually like, because that's your best friend as a new outfielder for me. Like even to this day, like I'm on game, I have no idea. Like I told you before, it feels like game a million. But like I have to go out there every time we do take BP and shag and power shag, like because that's the only way that I'm legitimately going to get better is just getting those reads every single time.
Yep.
And it's just repetition after repetition. And like I'm proud of myself for like making these strides. But again, like I'm not even close to where like I want to be at the end of the day. So it's just taking things day to day and working.
We were talking about this. By the way, this is Justyn-Henry Malloy, the master himself of left field, eventually. But we were talking earlier off air. Now, I wanted to get more on that. So can you talk about the ex-WOBA we were talking about? Because the game, you were talking about what your coach said at low A, how hard it is and how challenging it is. You're going to have bad days, and that's just the game. I mean, 3 out of 10, everybody knows that's amazing if you can hit 300. So fill us in on that and how the team helps you see the challenges when things aren't going your way, but still try to give you some spirit, a little bit of lift.
So I guess like in thinking about that, like I think about lining out, right? Like when we talked about like your ex-WOBA, right? And it's a statistic that really like your common baseball fan probably has no idea about, right? But for us, it's kind of like, okay, it's your expected whatever. I'm still not like super familiar with it, but I just understand that it's like a statistic that we don't see, but like the people who are looking at us see, and it's like an algorithm that's able to calculate, when you do line out and say you're lining out a lot. So you're 0 for 4, and realistically you could be 4 for 4, and you lined out 4 times.
Luck. We talked about luck in the game.
Right, and it's extreme. Like baseball is extremely lucky, right? Like I mean, out here, I feel like I've been like lucky and unlucky, right? Because out here, like I have no homers out here. Like I want to hit one so bad. I have no homers, and our field is huge. So like I'm almost like chalking it up. It's 360 down the line, 430 in center. It's ridiculous.
What?
Yeah, did you not see it yesterday?
I didn't look. I guess.
Oh my God,
there was a big crew of people in front
yeah,
of me distracted.
Yeah, yeah. Our field's huge, but like, like the balls that I've been crushing out here, they're just outs. Like you legitimately like have to clear the fence for it to be a homer out here because there's just so much land and there are too many good outfielders for those balls to like not be caught unless you're like hitting those like screaming hard line drives. I feel like I'm getting off the topic from the question. No. But like unless you're hitting these screaming hard line drives in gaps and down the line, or you're legitimately putting balls over the wall, like you're getting into balls consistently, like these doubles are hard to come by. Like that's one thing that I realized out here. I'm like, like I need to find an extra base hit, or I need to burn someone, or really get into a ball.
Is that an adjustment that you want to make, or you try to
No. Oh no, absolutely not. Because then like you're getting out of your game because of the field. Like these fields are extremely big. Like yesterday or a few days ago, we're playing in Peoria, and the gaps are 385, and like that's pretty big, all things considered. Like when I think of a gap, I'm like, 370, I think is a good poke. 385 is an extra 15 feet, right? And then like I think about our field, 430s in center field, 360 down the line is like, good grief. Like
I grew up in Tiger Stadium had a 440 to center back in the day.
That to me is like, oh my God, like I have to get every stitch of this ball to hit it out.
Yeah.
But again, like going back to the question of how like organizations like keep us sane is just like, hey, like you line out, like count that as a hit. Like that's a plus. You won. even though no one sees it and it's not in a hit column and whatever, like, you won. And organizations, they take note of that. And I think every scout who's half decent, I'm not a scout. I've never really talked to a scout about how they scout, but any scout who's half decent can see, like, yo, this guy's crushing balls. He's just finding a glove. Like, it's nothing that he's doing. So I think luck plays a huge part in baseball.
It's everything.
And literally,
Unfortunately.
yeah. Unfortunately,
Not
like,
bad.
yeah. But I feel like just this compared to other sports, it's like, imagine playing basketball, draining a three, and looking on the board, and it's like, oh, well, my 3 points didn't count. Like, that's really baseball. Like,
Wow, that is.
right? Like, if you think about it, like, that's really baseball. Like, I do everything that I could. I crush a ball, and I'm out. Like, that
Got the right pitch. You knew
yeah,
it was coming.
oh,
You
yeah.
tattooed it.
Yeah, actually, going back to my basketball analogy, it'd almost be like draining a 3-point shot and then seeing 3 points go to the other team. Because an out would be for them, right? So, like, it's just a game of luck, and you just got to, like, that's how, like, you got to be just mentally tough for this, right? Like, our hitting coach in AA, fortunately enough, he was my hitting coach in high A, or in low A, last year in Augusta, and, like, he would, like, after tough days, like, for everyone, he would just look at us and he'd be like, grown men play baseball. And, like, just small phrases that, like, when you think about it, it's like, yo, like, grown men got to be mentally tough.
Yeah.
Right? So in order to play the game, got to be mentally tough. And I think that if you play the game with some gratitude and you're thankful and you play it, like, just solely to have fun, I think you'll be all right.
Ben, I know we got to go soon. You want to get anything else on the record here?
Well, I really like what you're saying there. I know, I guess we've seen this in the playoffs. A guy like Bryce Harper was struggling last month of the season as he came back from injury. But if you looked at his expected batting averages, all those wonderful things, the guy was pounding the crud out of the baseball. And he's in a park that if he would have adjusted his swing, I mean, Citizens Bank Park is really generous to home runs. Oh, yeah. If he would have arched his swing to intentionally try to crank the ball out, he probably could have had some home runs, but he didn't. He just kept swinging the way he swings. And look at what he's done throughout the entire playoffs. The guy's got something like a 400 batting average throughout the playoffs so far. He's been dominant all playoffs long. That's just, I mean, the guys, you know that it's going to come along. And if you're just doing your approach, if you adjust for a park, that park's going to get you pretty soon, And I know there's lots of guys that they change their approach. They go pull happy because they happen to be in a park that's, short down the left field line or the right field line, depending on whatever their side is.
Well, that's why we have.
To get to a park where it's if you're in Yankee Stadium and you're a left-handed hitter, and you go to a park that's all of a sudden 360 down the right field line, you're in trouble. You're not going to hit anything out.
That's why we have park-adjusted metrics too, though. I mean, that's built into the analytics of stuff, so you don't have to do that, and hopefully you can get the benefit of the doubt on things that should have been a home run in one park and wasn't in another too. So that helps as well, and that's important, right?
Absolutely.
And you were in, the Southern League is kind of known for having some pretty tough parks to hit in. I think there's maybe one or two that's even like an average favorable to pitchers in the Southern League. Wow. Down there. They're known anyway for being pretty good pitchers parks.
Oh, yeah. Big time. I mean, Rome alone, I'm pretty sure, like, and this is what I was hearing, like, amongst guys in our organization. I know Rome, Mississippi, and I think Gwinnett as well, actually, are amongst, like, the three. They're in, like, the top 10 or definitely, like, the top 15 in all of minor league baseball, worst hitting parks.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, my God. And you see that as a hitter right away. Balls that I'm absolutely getting into, doubles or outs. And it's like, I'll take my double, but geez, man, like, that should have been a bomb. Like, I'm not going to be upset about it, but, like, at the end of the day, like, every player would want a homer over a double, right? So I think, like, those metrics and taking things like that into consideration is important. Even on the other way around, like, this year, like, one park that we played in that was absurd. It was Asheville. And I don't know if you've ever been. You ever been to Asheville?
I've been to Asheville.
I mean, like it's absurd. Like it's a bandbox. Like it's so small.
Oh, that's right. That's a White Sox organization.
Houston.
Oh, it's Houston.
Astros.
I thought of Luis Robert for a minute. I thought he might have teed off there anyway.
Probably.
There, yeah.
Probably. I mean that I think I had 1-2 homer game this year. It was in Asheville.
Really?
Of course. It was. If you look at Asheville, you're like, yo, like I feel bad for pitchers almost because it's like, yo, like, I mean, I might have been like 300 down the right field line, just with a ginormous fence, but still, like, I mean, I wouldn't call us grown men, but like we're strong guys, and like if we hit a pop up at 310 feet to homer.
That's right.
Right? So like, I mean, I saw guys getting jammed, butt out homers, and it's like, you know, I would hope that, like, you know, on the other side of things, an organization could take consideration on that for pitchers. But I think those statistics that are able to get real data instead of data mixed in with luck, I think that's where you're going to start finding, like, okay, like this guy actually is a player, or this guy is a real good pitcher. He's just having really bad luck. I think Bryce Harper, we actually even talked about that.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper, I think it was a few years back, and I think like he was struggling, right? Everyone was just saying he's struggling, but it's like he's not. He's actually just crushing balls right at guys, and like there's nothing you can do after it hits your bat. Like that's literally it. So, and then there's 8 other guys, or 7, not considering the catcher, and the pitcher is not really doing anything defensively, but there's 7 other guys who are trying to get you out. So I think those metrics are important.
I got to tell you, I want to get on the record here because we're in Arizona, right? We're in Scottsdale, and you're part of the Arizona Fall League, and you're an all-star. You got the last selection in the final vote for the NL and AL. I don't know who won the AL side, but yeah, did Mason Hour get it, Ben? Did you check that? I voted for Mason Hour when I voted for Justin. I'm not sure on that.
I voted for 3 different guys that voted for Justin.
Oh, I voted Justin all the way. You can vote 5 times, and I did that, of course. I mean, you deserve it, and I know, and I'm just getting to know you now. I know how much you are into this too. Could you talk a little bit about your experience in the past with the Arizona Fall League and this All-Stars game, which you're going to be in on Sunday, tomorrow, in real time, and what it meant to you and your father? And we were talking about that earlier. I thought it was really powerful stuff.
Yeah, no, I just thought, I mean, I guess just going back to like when I found out I was coming out here, right? So I was supposed to go home that was actually a different story. I ended up, like, I was in AA, I was hitting the cage, and then, like, I got called into the office, like, getting called into the principal's office. It's like, yo, like, our coordinator's there, and he's like, hey, like, congratulations, like, we're going to send you to the Arizona Fall League. And, like, my mouth just dropped. Like, I was so over the moon and so excited, and I was like, I got to call my dad. I got to call my mom. Like, I got to let them know that this is something that, like, we would legitimately watch. We would watch the Arizona Fall League Home Run Derby. We would watch the Arizona Fall League All-Star Game. And, like, going back to the All-Star Game, like, cool story that, like, I talked to you about. The Arizona Fall League All-Star Game was always after the World Series. It was always the last baseball game. Like, and I was 8 years old all the way up until literally every single year I'd watch the Fall League All-Star Game. And, you know, me and my dad, like, we would sit down together. I'm a kid, and he would record it, and we'd watch it in real time, and we would watch it over and over and over again for weeks after. Wow. Just because it was, like, the last baseball game, and it was just so cool to, like, sit down with him and just watch. And it was just so exciting because it was like, kind of like a conclusion of, like, oh, man, like, baseball is over, and this is it. This is the last game, but these are the next, and he would explain, like, these are the next guys that you're going to see, like, throughout these seasons. And, you know, just to be able to, like, be selected, like, that was just, like, it was, like, a surreal moment. Like, no way. Like, my dad's going to be able to watch in the same spot where he was when I was 8, and now I'm going to be up on TV. Like, you know, like, I just think that's so cool, and, like, it's just humbling, like, and I'm going to be playing, you know, with some of, like, the best guys, you know, in minor league baseball, and I think it's humbling. Like, I'm so honored, and, like, obviously it was with the help of, like, you guys and like thank you guys so much. Like,
oh man, you did it, man. Come on, you got you here.
I did, but it ended up coming down to a fan vote, right?
That's
and I'm
true,
like,
yeah.
and it's ultimately up to like people voting, and to know that I had so much support like behind me in that. I think that that's awesome, and I can go on.
A couple retweets makes a difference.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, sure.
Thanks, Braves. Thanks to Braves. Thanks to lots of people too. I got all the people in Discord to vote for you.
No way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But just a blessing, like just be here, and I'm like super grateful and just happy. I think happy is a good word for it.
I love it. That's great. Ben, any final thoughts?
Oh, Robert Perez Jr. is the guy who won it on the AL side.
Oh, congratulations.
From the Mariners organization.
Well done, Robert.
So, no, that's my. I guess it's been great chatting with you. Good to see you face to face. After texting with you throughout the year, no, it's going to be great to watch, and I'm really excited. It'd be great if we had. I'm not going to cheer for one team or the other tonight, but it almost would be kind of nice just to have the Houston Astros wrap it up tonight, so that you guys had the baseball scene all to yourself tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So we could, so you guys were the show in town tomorrow would be kind of sweet.
It'd be the last baseball game of the year.
That's right. Yeah.
Like I remembered it to be.
I think they're gonna wrap it up tonight.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Philly had their chance, and
I know, kind of blew it.
my guy Verlander, Detroit man. I still root for Verlander.
I like that. Yeah, he's a dog.
To me, he's always gonna be a Tiger. So
He's a
I'm
dog.
glad he went to Houston and won the World Series a couple years ago. But even all the cheating stuff. Yeah, see that cheating stuff? That stuff crazy. Like all that stuff gets talked about. And do you think people? Well, I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you think people cheat? Not that situation, but do you think people are always looking for a leg up in this game? Or is it hard to say?
I mean, probably. I can't speak on everyone. Like,
sure.
I just try and go out there and like, just go have fun and play. Yeah. But I mean, like, there's
stealing signs.
I mean,
did that get removed a lot now because they've changed with the technology?
Kinda. I don't think stealing signs is cheating.
Ah, okay.
I mean, it's one thing like, if I'm at second base and like I'm a baseball player, right? I want to make winning decisions and plays. I want to call myself a winner, right?
Yeah.
So like, if you're gonna be, and like I say this in the nicest way possible, if you're gonna be a pitcher and you're gonna be dumb enough to open your glove when you come set, and I'm able to see all your seams and grips and everything, I'm gonna find a way to relay it to my friend, right? Like it's like, how would you play in the backyard? If you were doing something that I could easily spot out.
Yeah.
That's not cheating. That's you just not doing your job. And like it's like catchers, right? Like when I'm not a base runner I'm not a base stealer by any means. But if I'm gonna steal a base, I'm gonna do it the smart way. I'm gonna take my lead. I'm hoping a righty's in the box. I'm hoping I have a lazy catcher. I'm hoping he gives me a 2. And if I see a 2, because sometimes when you see a wiggle, it could be a fastball. That's one thing that sometimes. But like a lot of times when I see a 2 or a 3, that's like my time where I'm like, I want to run. Like I want to go because now but that's not cheating by any means.
Okay, yeah. That's fair.
And there are small things like for what I've learned in pro ball, like I don't even know if like should I even say it, but I mean like but it's not even things like it's funny like guys like will
you don't have to say it. It's fine. So.
Yeah,
I don't want to ruin your career or anything.
Nah, I don't think it would ruin my career. It's nothing that you probably have seen it like right in front of your face and didn't even think anything of it. Probably, like, seriously. But like, just small things that like, I don't do them. But like, if you did, no one really cares either, But again, like it's just playing the game to win.
I see the ump still. I saw it last night. They checked the fingers of
the
pitchers.
I think that's important. Yeah. I actually think that's extremely important because like how guys are able to spin it. So we faced a guy. It's funny. We faced a guy in Peoria 2 days ago where the last time he threw against us, I think he went like 6 innings, no hit. He was throwing like 91, 92, but I swear to God, it looked like 100 miles an hour. Everyone was saying it. I mean, we're having like guys who are really good. Cal Conley, Heston Kerstead, Luis Matos. I mean, I'm missing guys. Just days late on heaters. We're like, that's what we're looking for. And he's just spinning the heck out of a heater. mind you, it was a warmer day. Now, the day that we faced him, it was a little bit colder. Now, he wasn't doing anything sticky or illegal, obviously. I'm not saying that. But it was a colder day, and I'm assuming it's a little bit tougher to grip the ball and spin it, right? So, like, the other day, we face him, and it's like, we're looking at each other, and we're like, yo, that ball's not spinning how it was the last time we saw him. And we were like, yo, and then someone was like, yo, imagine he had some sticky stuff like the time we actually saw him. Like, he was spinning the heck out of it legally. Imagine he was doing it illegally. Like, I think that stuff does.
That's how the game got out of control at the major league level. It did.
Absolutely. So
they didn't handle it well mid-season. You don't make changes mid-season. But it did. There needed to be a change, but it was poorly handled.
Yeah.
And you also, real quickly, what about these changes in the game too that are coming? You know, the pitch. Well, you guys have been doing it in the minors already with the pitch clock, and then less pickoff attempts. No more shifts. Does that make you excited as a hitter or as a fielder? Take it from either angle.
Definitely excited as a hitter with no shifts. I mean, I don't know. I guess from a strategic standpoint, it makes sense, right? You want to put guys where you think guys are going to hit the ball.
Yeah.
But, like, when you think about, like, production and, like, you want the game to score runs, right? Like, when you put 3 guys on the left side because you know this guy's – the odds of him hitting a ground ball to second base are pretty slim. Like, I don't remember the last ground ball I hit to second base. Seriously. I don't remember the last time I got, like, jammed and I hit a decent ground ball to second base. So let's put 3 guys on that side. Now it's like the hits that should be hits are now hits. You hit a line drive to right field. It's not like there's a second baseman who's playing a mini right field is there. Or, you know, like the ground ball up the middle, which, like, you have a good approach, you smoke a ground ball up the middle. It's not, you know, right here, Sunday brunch for a second baseman. So I think that's awesome. I think the pitch clock is great. I legitimately have 0 complaints. Actually, the only concern that I had was the lack of timeouts that hitters have. Because once pitchers start getting comfortable with, like, holding the ball, which a lot of them aren't. A lot of them want to, like, set, and they don't want to go anything more than, like, a 4th out, like, you know, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 4 1,000, whatever. But once they start managing how to, like, hold the ball, and I have to be ready by 9 seconds, and say I burn my timeout, right?
Okay.
So if they boom, boom, set, and say I'm ready before 9 seconds, which a lot of the time I am. I'm ready probably around, like, 12. They hold me. I burn my timeout. Now what? Like, I'm stuck there swaying for 12 seconds, right? And that's going to end up playing into a pitcher's favor once they know how to, like, just make a hitter uncomfortable by just standing there. So I think that – it's funny, my roommate just walked in.
Hey, all right.
What up, dog?
How you doing? Good, how are you? Good, we're just wrapping up here. So.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How you doing?
No, it's all good. I mean, we're not live or anything. We're just recording.
Oh, okay.
My dude.
Sounds good.
All right, bro. But I think, like, all the new rule changes and all that's all going to be beneficiary to what the game needs. I think it needs to be faster, quicker pace. Like, I would go to Braves games on my Mondays off from Rome if the Braves were at home.
Yeah.
And I couldn't make it past the 5th inning because I'm like, this game should be in the 8th or the 9th, and it's just slow to watch. So I think this new pitch clock and pace of play, it's going to make the game a lot better.
Great. Ben, you agree with all that?
Yeah, no, I think that part is going to be really good. I do think they put out a really interesting article about the shift, and, you know, I think your experience as an infielder could come into play because one of the things that they do say it might do is it makes it a risk because the infielders have to stay where they are, but teams are still going to be allowed to shift. So they can take a left fielder, it's still shift. That part is have anyone play in left field. Yeah. And so they can shift around the outfield a little bit, and so they can take that risk. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's still there. It's still legal to technically flood one side of the field, but you got to do it with an outfielder, and that makes it a whole lot more risky for a team's defense. Yeah. Which to me, that does add a whole different element to it because the team is taking a big risk on defense. Because if you go the other way, as a Braves fan, you've watched Freddie Freeman over the years go the opposite field on a shift over and over and over again. And man, if you plop one in the left field and they're shifted for you to go to right field, you could run for days.
Oh yeah.
Which I gotta admit, watching Freddie Freeman try and leg out a triple would be hilarious. Beyond that, the guys that they typically cheer for, I don't know how many of them could actually leg out a triple, but it would be that, and it would be a bad situation for a lot of teams because you'd really be putting a lot on your center fielder right there. If the ball gets up and over your shortstop third baseman there, it could be interesting to watch. But they did show that it's still legal to move your guy, but it's a heck of a risk. And I don't know how many teams will do it. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm curious to see how many teams are that gutsy.
Yeah, it's pretty risky to try and defend a single, but possibly give up a inside the park homer. I mean that's so on the
I don't think we'll see that.
No, I hope not. I really hope not. I hope it works for me if they do it.
Oh, hell yeah.
I hope it'll be my first inside the park homer since I was probably maybe 8.
Oh yeah.
Probably, I don't know. I don't hit inside the park homers. They better go over the fence for me to go. I actually got my first triple here.
Yeah.
Yeah, of the year. So, but I wish it went over the fence.
Did
but
Houston get a triple last night, or was that a scoring error?
Triple.
That was
Definitely a triple. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
We were talking about it like,
Yeah.
tough play.
I was gonna say, yeah, triple. We'll just call it. Yeah, let's call it triple. But like, I mean, yeah. I'm looking at that scoreboard. I'm like, don't give him an error. Give him a hit. Yeah. So, yeah. No, that was funny. I mean, we make fun of him. We're like, yo, you need oxygen. You're all right, bro. Hamstring good.
Yeah.
But
he's got those golden locks too.
He does.
Beautiful.
I asked him today. I was like, "Yo, you trying to get a haircut before the game?" He was like, "Dude, do I really look like I'm gonna get a haircut?"
It's going all the way down.
Yeah, no, he ain't getting a haircut. But
that's great. All right, well, I want to ask 2 things. We're gonna get out of here. This is the Palazzo Podcast, our first ever baseball player on the show. You were always gonna be that guy forever, Justyn-Henry Malloy. Doesn't mean shit to him, but it means a lot to me. So no, he appreciates it. I'm rooting for you now. You are now like my guy. I've really enjoyed this. I really have. Like, I'm not just saying that to your face. You've welcomed me into your home here, which is a nice digs, by the way. Like I said, this is a nice place, which makes me happy to see that because you don't always get that necessarily, and you'll never know what you get. But 2 things I want to ask. I wanted to ask about one teammate that you think is the guy. Like, I want you to be the guy, and I'm hoping for that to happen. But one guy that you like, everyone on the team's like, this is the guy. Like, I don't know if that's universal or not. Or another guy in the league that you're like, that's the guy. I feel confident he's going to be possibly an all-star at the bigs. And also, do you have a favorite baseball movie? Is there a movie about baseball that you dig or not?
So I guess the easier question, favorite baseball movie, 42, about Jackie Robinson.
Okay.
I thought that movie was awesome, super educational. Absolutely. Absolutely, way too early.
New Black Panther's coming out, though.
I know.
I'm curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, me too. I am. But 42, easily my favorite movie, baseball movie. The guy that I think is going to be like a dude, I think it's Heston.
Oh, really?
I do think it's Heston because it's just like.
I know Ben likes to hear that.
I mean, like it's just like just watching, right? Then you're like picking his brain on hitting, and you could see, right? So like from baseball to baseball player, or like baseball player to baseball seer, right?
Yeah.
You look at Heston and like nothing can beat him because he's ready. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, he has this little like boop, like little like hitch, and he's just like up and ready to go for days. Like, it's just he has so much time. And I think like there's like a difference in hitting. Like, I don't like saying, oh, like we're trying to create timing, we're trying to time the pitcher. It's more like, yo, do you have time? Right? And it's a little bit different when you think about it, right?
Yeah, that's interesting.
The best analogy I got for that is like, because I never understood it for a little bit. I'd be like, I'm always timing the pitcher. Like, what the heck? But like it's like almost like would you rather like get to the 10 o'clock meeting at 9:45 and have time, or would you rather try and look at your clock, look at how far it is, and try and time up the meeting at 10 o'clock? And then you might get screwed somehow if there's a little wrinkle, like a little slider or a little curveball, and then you're screwed, right? So I think he just has so much time, and nothing's going to get by him. Like, that there's a reason why he's had so much success. I mean, mind you, he was also that guy out of college, right? First rounder, second overall pick, right? Had everything. But, like, first and foremost, again, better dude than player. And that's saying a lot, considering that he's such a good player. But for me to say that he's a better dude than player is incredible. And then, two, it's like he's just ready. Like, I don't know. Like, I think he just hasn't had a lot of games. He's drafted in 20, no season. Might have had like
hiccups.
Yeah, but like I just think he's just ready for the show. Like
I think that's what a lot of people are saying.
Yeah,
he smoked that Oppo rope last night. I was sitting, I got to see that ball go right in my line of sight. That was beautiful. I mean, it was a single, but it was a gorgeous single. And he went the other way, and he can do it all with the bat, I think.
A pro.
Yeah.
He's a pro. And I think that's my pick to be a dude.
It's a safe play.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right, Ben?
He swings like the ball did something to his family.
Oh man.
He wants to punish it.
It's violent. It's violent. Yeah. But it's funny. It's like violent. It's still so controlled. Like it's like that's what you want in the swing.
That's what I'm saying. Like nice and tight, kind of hands in, boom, bing. He put it out, and but he still crushed it. But it was controlled. You're really right about that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So that's a good choice.
It's a fine choice.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, that's going to do it. We've done it. This has been incredible. We want to thank Justyn so much. I mean, dude, unreal. This is unreal. This is like a surreal experience for me. If it was surreal for you going to Arizona Fall League, this is surreal for me sitting here in your living room right now. So,
thank you for coming.
Oh, yeah, man. Thank you for having me. This is Ben. Thanks for making this happen. You guys, the only reason I'm here is because of these two guys in the Adopt a Minor Leaguer program. Please check it out. AdoptAMinorLeaguer.com. Make sure you keep following Justyn's career. We're going to see him in an ATL uniform sooner than later, I'm telling you. But more than that, it's a good dude here. This is a human being. He's not a piece of information on an Excel sheet or a Fangraphs. I mean, his stats are his production, but you're a man. You're a human being. And I think that's really what we want to push here more than anything, because I know all you guys, we love Dynasty and they love talking prospects all day long, but we're trying to put just some human faces on these players. And remember that they're funny and knowledgeable. And it's just been real cool, man. So
just like everyone else.
Yeah, you're just
literally just like everyone else.
Yeah, we're all just a dude like Kierstad.
literally just a dude.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like you look at Heston and it's just like a dude.
Yeah, he's
and
a dude.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have to act like what you would think second overall pick would act like.
Yes.
He doesn't act like he's a regular guy that just happened to be the second overall pick.
But that's the same thing I would say about you. You weren't the second overall pick, but you're that guy too. So take that for what it's worth. Seriously. I've been around a bit, lived a little bit of life, and I know a thing or two. So
thank you.
I know you appreciate things and you're grateful and humble, and that just is refreshing, Ben. This has been so cool. Thank you, really. Right, Ben? Sound good? Sound reasonable?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. That's going to do it. There he is. We did this thing. Palazzo Podcast. Check us out on Twitter, Discord, 2 L's, 2 Z's. I can't believe I didn't do that. I only did it at the very end. That's my thing I would do. And I do like this Utah Give Me 2 thing from Point Break. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. Yeah, so I got all these I got like a soundboard. If we were doing the real show here, you would have been annoyed. I would have been pressing a lot of buttons and shit. So thanks again, everybody. Appreciate it.